Great. Welcome to today's sessions, How to Become a Global Champion While Living Uncaged. By the way, that's the mantra of YT. And today I have two amazing business heroes here. So on the one hand, it's Sam from YT Industries and Sebastian, known as the co-CEO of Shopware. And well, both are the CEO of their companies. And well, the question first is, why this session? So first of all, I'm a real fan of YT Industries and wanted to know how the story of YT has developed. And I always saw a lot of similarities between the two companies, so Shopware and YT. And I can also tell you why. I've seen that video here that I'm going to share right now for a short introduction, and just have a look of what YT is. And then, after that first impression, I will hand over to
Hey guys, can I use the socket, please?
You prick.
Yeah, impressive. I hope everyone could see the video, as I don't know how much speed on the internet connection was there that everyone could see it seamless, but amazing. I mean, Sam, that says a lot about the spirit behind the brand. I think also the founder of the company was in the video, at least, to be part of the video. Great, Sam. Can you tell us a little bit more about what YT is, except from being just an impressive bike brand?
Yeah, so thanks for the invite, Boris and Sebastian. Very happy to share a bit about YT. So for the people who aren't familiar with the company, it was founded in 2008 by Markus Flossmann, who did show up in a couple of those videos. Markus Flossmann at the time was working in marketing for a fitness company and was at a local bike park, a dirt jump park, which you can see now popping up in a lot of places around the world, become pretty popular. So pump tracks and jump tracks, and saw two kids that were riding really cheap bicycles from the DIY store. And Marcus went and saw them doing some pretty crazy tricks and said, why are you guys riding such cheap bikes? Those things are actually dangerous. If you're trying to do big tricks, they could break and you could really hurt yourself, if you're riding with a poor quality bike. And the kids said, well, we'd love to, but the problem is like a real dirt jump bike costs 2,000 euros. And this was 2008. And Marx said, that's not 2,000 euros, which today sounds like a good price, but at the time was crazy expensive. And he said, it just can't be that they're that expensive. And went in and actually researched it and said, yeah, actually, those bikes are that expensive. And then through a connection, found an agent in Taiwan and Mark said, hey, could I get cheaper bikes than that? Would it be possible? And through the agent, he was able to put together, he got a kind of frame off the shelf, a white label frame, bought some components from suppliers, had the bikes built, 200 of them, and said, I'm going to try to sell these online direct to consumer at a killer price. He brought them to Germany and went to what's called the Free Ride magazine, which is one of the most important, say, traditional press outlets in Germany, and called up and said, hey, I have this new dirt jump bike. Would you be willing to include it in a test? And the editor of Free Ride said, we actually have a comparison test going on that we're about to start with dirt jump bikes. We'd be happy to take your bike in. And Marcus drove the bike down there and was tested and won the best value for price prize in this first review. And the 200 bikes were sold out in a week. And that's kind of how YT was born. Marcus saw this opportunity to leverage the direct-to-consumer channel. That's how we sold them. Offer high quality, so really premium bikes at really, I want to say, aggressive passing on the benefit to the customers, and giving the people who couldn't afford them otherwise the ability to buy great bicycles. So starting in 2008, this was in Germany, in near Erlangen in Franken. Marcus founded the company, and over the past 15 years has built up the company now to being a global brand, selling premium mountain bikes exclusively direct to consumer. So we have our own website, ytindustries.com, and sell bikes in predominantly so 50% of our bikes are sold in North America, 50% in Europe, direct to consumer across the board, and offer mountain bikes at the premium level ranging from between 2,000 euros and 10,000 euros, both pedal bikes and e-bikes. So that's let's say the short story of the history. We can certainly dig into that more if you want. Maybe one other thing I would add, Marcus as a person is very much a brand and a product guy. That's his DNA. That's where he really added a lot of value. And from the very beginning, he placed a premium on those two areas: build great products that customers would love to use, and also the value of the brand. So create a brand that is going to attract and retain customers. And Marcus traditionally has super overinvested in brand and underinvested in sales. So it's kind of a bit of a different approach than a lot of people take today, but has been extremely successful. And maybe I'll add at the end, why am I here and not Marcus? Marcus is still actively involved in the company, leading the brand. And he asked me to come on 3 years ago when we can talk about this, I think as many companies do, when we kind of got around the 50 to 100 employees and operating in multiple countries, the operational excellence topics became a big hurdle, communication, systems, tools, trying to make that transition from being a small company where everybody sat in the same room to being a global oriented company was a big challenge. And I think one of the things that Marcus also recognized, A, he wasn't good at doing these things, and B, he wasn't interested in learning how to do it. And then sat back and said, hey, I want to focus on the things that I'm really passionate about and the things that I'm good. That's dealing with the brand and with the product. And then asked me if I would join as CEO to take over everything else in the company. So I have, let's say, 90% of the employees who are reporting into my teams, and he has about 10% doing the brand. And that's kind of how we divided up the work, that I get to do the things that I think are fun and I'm happy doing. With my background, I'm Amazon. That's where I was, my professional background, I was 10 years with Amazon. But I'm not a brand or a mountain bike product guy. That's where Marcus can add his magic, and certainly has over the last 15 years.
Yeah, amazing story, and also great that you joined, because I think we also had the same issues as YT Industries. We're also scaling on global scale, also to the North American market. So it's really great. But I can also imagine becoming a CEO of a bike brand like YT also brings in, you bring in a lot of experience. But what I know from the people that I'm at in Hausen, so in the headquarters, is that there was not anyone who has not broken, let's say, at minimum 2 bones. So because that's just the sport. How much bones did you break in your career? Because I saw your arm was cuffed, I think.
Yeah, I have right now. I have I'm recovering right now from a collarbone break. I have 8 screws 6 weeks ago. I broke my finger last year. That was a small one, but it had an operation. I got 17 stitches in my mouth 2 years ago, and then now I only ride with a full face. So I have a couple of
Wow.
I have a couple of injuries along the way, but I mean I've also injured myself doing rock climbing, and I think mountain biking is certainly a sport that there's a high risk of injury, but a low risk of death. When I talk to people who like to road bike, and I say, yeah, I mean, road bike has a low risk of injury, but a high risk of death. You're not going to get run over by a truck riding a mountain bike, but certainly you have to assume you're going to get lots of scratches and bruises along the way. But I don't know. I just can't keep off the bike. I mean, right now I have to, so I'm not riding. for another 6 weeks. I have to wait to ride, so I'm missing this season. But I mean, I'll be getting back in the saddle again, and it's a lot of fun. But you don't have to. I mean, certainly depends how you ride. I like to ride hard, and then you crash more. If you take off 5%, usually you're not crashing. So it's that last 5% that'll get you.
Yeah, but these 5% I think make up the fun. Yeah.
Well, for me, certainly, I think that there's also a lot to be said about great views, and biking is a very social sport, also with friends, and being in the outdoors, and I think it's a great way to, especially with Corona, you saw a lot of people really picking up biking because it was a local sport that you could do. You don't have to fly; you can drive someplace. Be out closer to nature, and certainly some of the tailwinds that the bike industry has right now of this focus on more local vacations, being active, physically fit, premiumization. There's a lot of tailwinds in the bike industry, let's say, operating over a longer period of time, which is great. Be a CEO of a company that's really fun and also be in a growing industry.
Yeah. Same applies also again to Shopware. So we also in e-commerce. I think we don't have that risk to be injured or have really some disabilities at the end. But I'm really happy also that we share the same growth story. So that's one of the things that attracted me as I wrote you the story of YT, is that you're one of the role model of customers that we have, because you have grown from SMB to enterprise, and now you're becoming a global brand. And this is also one of the things I think that can be really a role model for Shopware customers, as they often now grow with us into becoming a global champion. And Sebastian, just one question to you. I mean, you've seen YT Industries have developed also, I think, about 50% of their business now coming from the US. That's also amazing. And we have just entered the US American market recently, so by last year. So what's your expectation? Are we also going to be the fun company in e-commerce and in the US American market? Expectations?
Yeah. Yeah, let me directly jump in, Boris. And but first, I want to highlight, I really like that brands, people behind brands or merchants into the game, right? I met a lot of your colleagues at YT, and I have to say, all these people are into the product. It's very, they are identify with the brand, with their experience, with the product. And this is very valuable, and this is authentic. This is true experience. And I think this is a value you can't overestimate, or it's there and you can feel it. You can figure it out if you speak to people, and then you can see it. So this is, I would say, very interesting, and probably we will come later into it when we discuss how you differentiate your brand. What did you different in the past and today? But let me quickly answer your question, Boris. So regards Shopware, yes, we are into US right now, so making really good progress, see a lot of momentum there in the digital commerce space. And the reason is that we see there is a demand for a customizable and flexible solution in the digital commerce world, especially in the mid-market field. So I think it is, there are out there so many shops, business models that are, let's say, similar. They're not very different. And I think Shopware, especially in the mid-market field, can create impact and can change it, because you can build and customize the shopping experience more tailored, more captivating, more unique in a way as you need it, and then go even beyond that. So this is what Shopware is about, and going to fill the gap. And if I think about entertainment, you called it fun, Boris, entertainment and digital commerce, this is something where I see this is probably missing, right? If you think about digital commerce experiences, feel a lot of static, same looking, but what is missing? More interactive play, that you are part of it, really go into the story, integrate more gamifications, for example, integrate more interactive things like video sessions, or even more. And this is where we count in. Also, I'm very happy with you, Sam, and with your team to create really new and stunning experiences. So this is the gap. I think we have a good foundation with Shopware. We are, coming from Europe, German company, back in the day, founded in 2000. And also we as the founders are leading the company. We are, reaching #1 shop system in the mid-market field in Germany. And this is, I would say, a good foundation where we have also a good track record of well-known brands that trust Shopware, like the soccer clubs like BVB or BWT. We have Flurup, we have Wortmann Group, and of course YT, Stabilo, and so on. Good ratings in different review channels like G2 and more, making progress in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So a lot of things that are building trust and a good foundation to start in the US. This is what's happening right now. And don't forget, also in digital commerce, the US market is one of the largest market worldwide. So this is, where we're right now. And the first results are counting in. The first customers are live, and the partner ecosystem is growing. So it makes a lot of fun. Also, last word to it. I was there together with Stefan, with my brother, in all the different events in the digital commerce world in the US. And we were, experienced it as we started back in the day in Germany, staying in the booth, presenting the Shopware product to the audience. So this makes a lot of fun if you can see, how the people are reacting in the US market, if they see, for example, the functionalities and also, the experience you can in the end build with Shopware. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Great impression. So also about unique experiences. I think that's what it is about. Maintaining a great business, as you said, Sebastian, is also about the right people. And they need also to be on board in order to have success. Sam, how did you maintain the balance between scaling your business onto a global scale and preserving also the core values and the culture of YT Industries? Because it is really feasible when you're in your office buildings there. There's definitely a unique culture that you have in your business and in your company, and that's amazing. But how could you maintain that even by scaling that much?
Yeah, it hasn't been easy, and Corona didn't make it any easier. We went through a period when I joined YT we were 120 employees. Now we're at 200. So we nearly doubled the size of the company in 2.5, 3 years. And that during a time where, let's say for a year, we were on lockdown and people weren't coming into the office. So a lot of the people who joined the company were joining without, getting the regular coming into the office. And as I think people who work at companies who are that size, you don't have the benefit of an Amazon or of a large company. They always have, huge ramp up programs for their employees, where everything's all set up. You get your care package, everything's ready to go. All your tools are set up. Here's the employee handbook with everything you ever would want to know. A lot of these things were, let's say, in their, as you say in German, in their children's shoes. Those are things that we had to do. That's one of the things that Marcus also, one of the first things that he worked on when I came in and started taking over some of the operational topics was to take a step back and create a brand book for internal purposes that we say, well, what is the YT brand? What does it mean for our customers? What does it mean for employees? Who are we as a company? Putting that onto paper was really important. Now we're in a period where we're trying to do more events in the office. To have people come back and interact a bit more. I think finding also anecdotes, like for me as a CEO, when we do regular all hands meetings, so 3 or 4 a year, and I always try to bring anecdotes of how we want people to work, or let's say talking about culture and giving examples of what it means to live uncaged, for example, what it means to follow the brand book, and just giving employees the opportunity to talk about work they've done. Say, let's zoom into one specific project and see how that played out. That's also something that I know Amazon does really heavily. Using they have leadership principles, and those leadership principles are incorporated into recruiting, into professional development, and then are also woven into everyday work. It's like, say, okay, well, you use it in your speech about using bias for action or diving deep. Those become, it seems like basic stuff, but weaving it into the everyday work that you're doing becomes really important. And that's, it's not easy. I think I would say it's something that we've struggled with all of the hires, particularly to have those people have the same attitude or the same approach to how we did it before. I think another difficulty is that we have our headquarters in Germany with about 120 employees, but we also have 80 employees who are not based in Germany. We have 15 in the UK and about 30 in the US and another 10 in Taiwan, 15. So people are spread around the world, different cultures, different time zones. That makes it a challenge too. At the end of the day, I think, Boaz, you were totally correct. The product goes a long ways. Most of our employees are really into biking. So that's something that we really anchor around. We like to go biking together. We get excited about the new products. Everybody in my all hands wants to know which bikes are coming out when. There's a lot of pressure to see full transparency on the R&D roadmap. And we always have to, tone it down a little bit because we don't want to share all the details with everyone. But that's also really great when your employees are excited about the products as your customers are. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's also one favor that you have. All the people share some passion about bikes, and that's apart from their daily business. So that's great, and it's part of their daily business as well. So amazing.
Yeah.
By the way, as we talked about some let's say some time where it wasn't that easy to also maintain being close to the workforce. What are some key lessons that you have learned from failures or setbacks, and how that they maybe contribute to your personal growth as a leader? Was it times like those that are a little bit more struggling, where you are facing some issues that need to be overcome, and overcoming those things might be something where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the things that have worked really well for me actually are very basic stuff, like walking the office. So when I go I typically spend 2-3 days in the office a week. And when I go in on Tuesdays, one of the things I try to do every week is to first, before I sit down at my desk, is to walk around the entire office areas. So that we have 2 different buildings, and walking both floors of both buildings and just saying hi to people. I certainly try to have a situation where I recognize, I think I know most people's names. There's a few who I don't know by heart, but I certainly recognize, they're new. And then I would say, oh, you're new, the company. I haven't got your name yet. Where are you coming from? I think just showing up as a CEO, as being engaged with the team and being interested in what people are doing, goes a really long ways. I think the fact that I bike goes, at least at our company, goes a long ways. If I was a non-biker, I think it'd be harder for the employees to get excited about. So that, let's say, my own personal identification with the product, and then obviously traveling around to our sites and showing up, and I also try to do open Q&A sessions, with the employees. Sit down and say, you can ask me any question you want. I might not answer it, but certainly ask any question that's on your mind. So I think that accessibility, it's really important in days when everyone's on Zoom or on Teams or whatever your digital method of choice is. Having time to go sit down, or eating my lunch in the cafeteria. Not sitting in my office, but trying to go down. And even if it's just me sitting with my CFO having a conversation, just the fact that people see me already, makes you more accessible as a leader, and people see that you're just a regular person too. So that's a pretty basic one. It's a kind of a no-brainer, but if you don't really take the time, it's really easy to get drawn in and say, oh, I have so many meetings or so many emails to go through, I'll just skip it this time. And I do skip it sometimes. I can't do it every time, but I would certainly say every other week I do make it around.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, interesting to see that, because also we offer free lunch for every employee that we have, also to have the opportunity that everyone can talk to each other. And Sebastian is also a good role model of being very close to everyone in the company. You can always meet him in the canteen if you want to have a short conversation. That's always great. And that is then also keeping the people together. By the way, you're setting up now a store on Shopware 6. You have been with Shopware 5 for a long time. And I know, so Sebastian and me, we talked yesterday about how amazing it is that you can buy your bike, which is kind of costly, in your online store even by not really testing or riding it before, because there's such a huge trust. And I think also Matthias just told me once that you have, I think, 30 visits on your website by each customer before buying the bike. I mean, that's also a quite amazing number. So how does that success come with e-commerce, and why did you just choose that way? Because it's also a little bit unusual in comparison to other vendors.
Yeah, the buying a bicycle is, on the one hand, a very rational decision for customers, saying it's a lot of money. So like I said, our bikes are between 3,000 and 10,000 euros. So it's, for some of our customers, it's the largest purchase they've ever made. But it's also a very emotional one, because it's something that people are not buying a premium mountain bike, one of our bikes, if they're just going to use it once or twice a year. This is typically something that they're using every weekend or every other weekend or even during the week. So there's a strong emotional attachment. How do they associate with the brand? How do they feel? How, they're out with their friends. Their friends are going to be looking at them. Which bike are they riding? What color is it? What spec do they have on the bike? What clothes are they going to wear when they're riding their bike? There's a lot of things that it's a really strong self-identification for the consumer, and they spend a lot of time researching. So we try to touch both areas. So we have a lot of very specific information about the bicycles themselves. What are all the parts? Why did we design the bike the way we did? Let's say those are all speaking to the rational decision making. But at the end of the day, Marcus, so the founder, and we have a very strong belief that the brand is actually playing even larger role. I mean, today most mountain bikes have there's a lot of duopolies in the bike industry. You have drivetrain, so the part that shifts the gears. There's two big manufacturers of parts that shift gears. There's 2 or 3 big manufacturers of bicycle suspensions. There's 2 or 3 manufacturers of bike tires. And everybody, whether it's us or one of our competitors, they all use the same parts on the bicycle. The only thing that really changes is the frame, which each company has its own, and then the branding associated with it. So a lot of what we want to do on our website is not be a transactional website like an Amazon is, where you just go on and get in, get out, find the product reviews, read through all the detail, and then check out. A lot of it is stepping into the YT brand world. What does it mean to be YT? What does it mean to live uncaged? And you see it. You go to the website, and it looks very different than most websites that you see. You go to the page, and there's some things are a lot better than other people, I would say, and some things have room for improvement. We spent a lot of time trying to create a very immersive environment, which looks really visually stunning. Unfortunately, it has pretty high latency, and it's not as flexible as we would like. So that's one of the things we want to get to Shopware 6, so we can start doing a lot of this basic e-commerce improvements, optimization work that's missing on the site. But on the other hand, it's actually very effective. It is different. It is something that people get excited to come onto and see the site, and the moving videos on the landing page, and seeing the products presented in a different way. But for all the 15-20 visits we get on the website, those customers are not just coming to our website. They're going to YouTube, doing a lot of research. They're looking at the press does lots of reviews. There's a lot of research going on until a customer comes finally to the conclusion, okay, I'm going to buy this bike. These are not spur of the moment. Oh, I decided I'm going to buy a mountain bike today. Which one do I want? And I'm going to check out. This is, a short process would be a week or two, and a long one. Most mountain bikers that I know, at least, are, they're constantly researching what their next bike is going to be. And it's more of a question, when do they time it?
But it's a great example because it really refers to what Sebastian said. So it's about experience, and your website is always presenting something new. So you're going to get on the website just to know more about what is happening with YT. By the way, the first impression that I got on your website was, okay, where can I buy these metal tickets, the concert that I wanted to attend? Because it looks really like a different website than somewhere where I can buy a bike. So this is amazing. And really, Sebastian, we need to think about our community, because you got the impression, Sam, YT mob. I think that's the impression for the community. And this is quite cool. Maybe we need to invent another name for, instead of using Shopware community, a mob would also be cool. But it's also leading me over to the next question. So how much importance does your community have? Sam?
Well, I mean, your community, I mean, so I would say even we don't, one of the mantras that Marcus has really pressed is we're not talking about our customers, we're talking about our fans. I mean, that's really where we want to get to, is people who are our fans, who, ideally people who love us so much that they get a YT tattoo. That's kind of like the ultimate fan of your brand, is people who will go and do YT tattoos. And I mean, we're at an event in Winterberg, so in Germany, and we offered free tattoos, free YT, real tattoos. And we weren't sure how many people would show up. And at noon, there were 20 people waiting to start get tattoos. And we had a tattoo artist 3 days long, from noon until 8 p.m. working nonstop doing tattoos, YT tattoos on customers who were waiting in line. And that's like pretty, Harley Davidson, I think, is a pretty successful brand where people get tattoos of Harley Davidson. But there's not a lot of brands where customers get that excited that they will actually, ink up for real, not temporary tattoos.
It's the ultimate KPI, right? To measure.
And this is so. I think this is something where this is something where it's actually really important having Marcus still around, because I am coming from an Amazon, more of a conservative corporate approach of saying we need to worry about not pissing people off, to be very blunt about it. And Marcus says you can only create fans by pissing people off. You have to polarize customers, and you have to dare to be different. So if you're Amazon and you're the market segment leader, you have to appeal to everyone. But with YT, we're about 1 or 2% of the mountain biking market right now. We don't have to make bikes that appeal to 100% of the population, or a brand that appeals to 100% of the population. It actually is easier to stand out by being very, I mean, with us, we've taken a very aggressive brand positioning. And lots of skulls and black and metal, and that's, let's say, where the history of YT has been. But that we've gone into that knowing that some people will just not identify with it at all, but that's okay, because some people will love it. And better to have a brand that you have 5% of people absolutely love it and they're sticking with you, than have a brand that's just one of 30 that's out there, and that you're not, while you might have a product that everybody likes, nobody loves it. And I think when you're small, you have that benefit to be very, very, very specific in how you choose to set your brand. And that's something where Marcus continues to, he pushes me all the time. It's like, we need to be about live uncaged. Like, Sam, don't worry about, let's do this campaign, and people have no clue what it's about, or it's totally strange or weird, or you're like, yeah, I don't get it. And then there's always some people who do. And I think this is particularly when you're small. I mean, if you're trying to be the market segment, if you already are a company that's huge, you can't do that. But if you're trying to establish yourself, it's better to be out there and risky with your brand, and to really do something different and be unpredictable, than to just copy whatever, if you say, well, what's the market segment leader doing? What kind of influencers do they have? What kind of videos are they doing? What's their color palettes? Let's just copy it all. You're not going to stand out. You have to actually say, well, and that's what Marcus does. He looks for inspiration in other businesses, in skateboarding, punk music, and says, okay, what can we do differently, leveraging or using inspiration? Japanese anime has nothing to do with biking. That was one of the things that was in the intro video, and no other bike company is doing it. But when we do it, then everyone's like, whoa, those guys are crazy. And crazy can be good and crazy can be bad. And we are trying to lean into crazy.
Yeah, Amazing.
I love what you said.
I think. Yeah. And Sebastian, I mean, we also have built an amazing community, I think, also from that underdog mentality. So, two questions to you, Sebastian. So, what were the success factors of building our community in the e-commerce sector? And when are we going to have the opportunity to get a Shopware tattoo at the SCD?
So I will arrange it. Yeah, directly, right? No problem. You can be the first one, Boris, and then let's go ahead. And no, look, you already have one. Oh, I wasn't aware of. No, look, building a community, especially in a B2B software world, is maybe a little bit different than it is as a consumer brand, but I'm pretty sure there are a lot of similarities. So it ultimately comes down, in my point of view, to relationship. So the culture things that you mentioned, Sam, I think this is a good similarity also to Shopware, where we have an open philosophy, strong values, open, authentic, and visionary that we live every day. And these are not only spoken words, we live them really daily. And you can also see and experience these values in the relationship with people. And with people, I mean also our partners, our customers, the developer community. So everyone who is, come into connection with us. And this is something you can't, how you say, you can't invent in a way. It's more or less, it's the culture that is there, and you are there with like-minded people. So as we started with Shopware, we were coming. So for example, my brother and me, as we are, also into the product, I was building the user experience, the very first Shopware products, everything were made by me. So the design, user interface, but also the brand Shopware, the communication design, so everything. And Stefan were building all the technical stuff behind, but it was a strong identification. And then we were into contact and relationship with like-minded people from the segment, from agency worlds who doing this stuff, but also from technical worlds, more the developer communities, building on an open source foundation, who share also the same mindset, giving something back to the whole, and then you can contribute. And this worked very well. So as we started, it was growing and growing like a snowball. We call it the flywheel effect. Then people are joining the ecosystem, the community, and these are different kind of people that are coming in. You have merchant brands, manufacturers. Then you have, of course, partners, agencies, technology, vendors, contributors, and you have the developer people who are interested in experimenting with, let's say, digital commerce pieces that are built on an open source framework where they can directly start using it. So I think this is a kind of widespread expertise where you can leverage from, and also where you can learn from each other. So it really kicked off as we started to initiate all the kind of events, the Shopware community events. And what is now really cool to see is that these kind of community people are starting organizing all the events by their own. So we have now the Global Shopware United Foundation. They are, organizing in different countries to trending topics that are related to e-commerce, their own events. Then you have the Shopware meetups in different cities, organized also by the community itself, from agencies, partners, technology partners, or at least we have some kind of merchant meetups where they come together. So we have a lot of different events, also boost days from developer angle. And this is happening, and it's growing, and people are coming together. And this comes back to my first point, relationship, because it's about people and it's about relationship. It's a little bit, I think it's a kind of different, but it's similar to YT as a consumer brand, where people are, into then Shopware and believe in open source, for example, that is, binding them all together. Does it make sense to you?
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would. I think the part that you mentioned there about when customers start to help you define the direction that you're starting to go, then you're on a good path, right? When people are taking a strong interest in how do we help you build a better product because we want it to, and that's certainly where we feel. Also, we have our fans coming and doing like, we need that bike updated with this thing, and that's a really fantastic situation to be in. It's hard to manage all that feedback that you're getting and start making decisions around what do you prioritize on your roadmap. But when people are that enthusiastic about that, they're giving you that kind of feedback, it's you're on the right path.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the cool thing is, if you can see that people are contributing by themselves to achieve things that you wasn't aware of, but they're doing it, and they contributing and investing time because they believe in it. And then this is counting back in the day. So in the future, I'm pretty sure these kind of people who are contributing, they will also then learn and inspire and get inspired from other people who are also contributing. And this is how all the open source B2B software world works. And I mean, this is not about only Shopware. You can experience it with other open source community as well.
Yeah, I think important is innovation and community is definitely a great contributor to innovation. And if I just see, for example, your project with us, Sam, so you're setting up also on new technology Shopware front end. So that's also huge because it's composable and very innovative. But on the other hand, I think as well that your business has lived from being also top of mind, being innovative as well. Or I mean, some brands or some trademarks that you have developed, like the Capra, are state of the art. So is that also one success factor by being always more innovative than others?
So I think for people who are in the bike industry, I think for us to go and say we are known for our innovation, I think that's not right. I think YT is more known for developing. I would say we're a fast follower. I think to be in any technology or an area, I mean, there's a lot of heavy R&D required for bicycle development, and you have to be, if you're the bigger you are, the bigger advantage you have, you can invest more resources and really trying to do breakthrough technology. What I think we've done is more been smart about how we package some of existing things already and recognizing which direction trends are taking. So finding the right components to put on our bicycle, anticipating what we think what things are people are going to want to have in a year or two, because you have about 2 or 3 year life cycle. And I don't think, I mean, getting back to your earlier question, like how do we, like with Shopware, my company or YT is historically a brand and product company that happens to sell online. We're not an IT technology company. Not yet. I'd love to be more of one, but I need to leverage a Shopware because that's where Shopware is spending a lot of time doing all the work on what are all the fanciest new technologies that we're going to need in integration. I don't have to invest in that. I can keep on focusing on my core of dealing with my product and my brand, and then just plug into somebody else who's doing all the heavy duty innovation on the IT side. So that might not be the same for every company. If you're a company that's coming more out of that, we need to do super fancy stuff on the IT side, and I don't really care what product I'm selling, then it's maybe it's a different situation. For us, that's not the case. We're focused on bicycles. We're not focused on building great websites. And that's where we need partners to be able to sell. And we rely on them, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, okay. And just because I have one question in the chat here. So if you choose a technology, then you certainly consider that, say, the adaptability or the enhancement of a platform as well. So what I got from your response right now is that you have partners where you trust in because they are the experts in it, but you see that also that those partners need to be innovative, also top of mind, need also to give you a good gut feeling about the future, because you can just build the future with companies who are also innovative enough for you. Is that
right? And I think it also
correct?
depends. What are your current challenges? I mean, for us, optimizing super conversion rate is not like, I mean, the things where we struggle with, it's not about the last 2 or 3% on an e-commerce platform, like eking it out. That's where Amazon is. We're still we love our brand, but we're still very much, we have so much more potential because we haven't done hardly anything to optimize our website yet. And so for me, actually having a partner like Shopware who is working with us to do this, rather than someone says, here's something available, you guys go figure it out. We really feel like with Shopware, we have a partner who's helping us, holding our hand a little bit even in getting some of these things done and helping us make these decisions, who can offer all the bells and whistles that we need, at least in our stage of development. That's exactly what we need. And I think a lot of companies struggle with, do you go for a Salesforce, for example, that offers you 1,000,001 options, but if you don't have the staff to actually execute it, are you really getting everything out of it that it can really offer? I think that's also an important decision to make. Do you want to have something that can grow with you, but you don't want to over invest in something that's so complicated that it's going to cost you more resources to run. So I think this is I think thinking in where do we need the next 2 or 3 years, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And certainly we've done that now twice. We made a decision for Shopware 2 times in a row, and we feel really good about the partnership and the work that we're doing so far.
Great. Yeah, amazing to hear. Thank you, Sam, for that insight. So by having a look on the time, so we're just running a little bit out of time. So I would like to come to the end of this session, even if we could go on and talk at minimum an hour more. Sam, what are your essentials that you would like to share with the audience of, let's say, scaling a business like those of YT on global scale, but on the other hand, also maintaining to be different, also living uncaged? What are the essentials of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go back to what I said before about daring to be different. I think that's really where, and it looks different, I guess, in every industry. I think you'll not stand out by conforming. You'll stand out by being bold. And I think anyone who's an entrepreneur, they're being bold already by taking a big step forward, but not to shy away from potentially also having some getting negative feedback in forums is not necessarily bad. You have to read what it is, right? I mean, you can't. There's a bit of a fine line. But if people are like, your product is wrong for A, B, and C, but if you're doing X, Y, and Z and covering something else really well that other people aren't, that's fine. To lose that customer who wants A, B, and C and really focus on delivering X, Y, Z. So I think that's where I would come and say is, uncage yourself from some of these from some of this feedback you'll get from customers that you have to do everything, because you can't do everything for everyone.
Yeah, that's a great lesson for life as well, Sam. Thanks. Sebastian, your key takeaways or also your essentials. What do you think that a business man should consider by scaling your business, but also maintaining, let's say, also some unique features like the culture that we have here at Shopware? What do you think? Is it?
I think I couldn't agree more what you said, Sam. So I think we all can learn a lot from you guys, from YT, and how you build it and how sharp and bold you are. So I would also double down on what really differentiates you, right? It requires both moves that have to be sharp and focused. And this is, I think it makes a lot of sense to double down on it and to think about. And also all the topics we discussed today with the community building, because if you are able to build up this kind of community, this is nothing that can, people can take you away. It also leads to strong differentiation. You have it then, and then you can, accelerate into this direction, and leverage it more, what leads to word of mouth, bigger brand awareness, and differentiation at all. So I think stay curious, get to know a little bit more about your target group, the customer. Oh, and I mean by that it's not necessarily only about the product that the people want to buy, but what are the things your customer want to achieve with the product. So why do they buy the product? What kind of lifestyle do they have? So the more you understand your target group, the customer, what they are going to do with your product, I think the more you can find ways to differentiate, to add value-added services and combine it with the products, and to be more differentiated brand be more into the storytelling, this is something I would, I would build up in this direction.
Yeah, great combination of your both answers. So thank you very much for that conversation. It was definitely a pleasure. And to everyone out there who's riding a YT bike, don't break your neck. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you all.